Lucerne or Luzerne is a city in central Switzerland, in the German-speaking portion of the country. Lucerne is the capital of the canton of Lucerne and part of the district of the same name. With a population of approximately 82,000 people, Lucerne is the most populous city in central Switzerland, and a nexus of economics, transportation, culture, and media in the region. The city's urban area consists of 19 municipalities and towns with an overall population of about 220,000 people. Owing to its location on the shores of Lake Lucerne and its outflow, the River Reuss, within sight of the Mounts Pilatus and Rigi in the Swiss Alps, Lucerne has long been a destination for tourists. One of the city's famous landmarks is the Chapel Bridge, a wooden bridge first erected in the 14th century. The official language of Lucerne is German, but the main spoken language is the local variant of the Alemannic Swiss-German dialect, Lucerne German. History. Early history and founding, 750–1386. After the fall of the Roman Empire beginning in the 6th century, Germanic Alemannic peoples increased their influence on this area of present-day Switzerland. Around 750 the Benedictine monastery of St. Leodegar was founded, which was later acquired by Mirbach Abbey in Alsace in the middle of the 9th century, and by this time the area had become known as Luciaria. The origin of the name is uncertain. It is possibly derived from the Latin name of the pike, Lucius, thus designating a pike fishing spot in the River Reuss. Derivation from the theonym lugus has been suggested but is phonetically implausible. In any case, the name was associated by popular etymology with Latin lucerna, lantern, from an early time. In 1178 Lucerne acquired its independence from the jurisdiction of Mirbach Abbey, and the founding of the city proper probably occurred that same year. The city gained importance as a strategically located gateway for the growing commerce from the Gotthard trade route. By 1290, Lucerne had become a self-sufficient city of reasonable size with about 3,000 inhabitants. About this time King Rudolf I von Habsburg gained authority over the monastery of St. Leodegar and its lands, including Lucerne. The populace was not content with the increasing Habsburg influence, and Lucerne allied with neighboring towns to seek independence from their rule. Along with Lucerne, the three other forest cantons of Uri, Schwyz and Unterwalden formed the Eternal Swiss Confederacy, known as the Eidgenössenschaft, on November 7, 1332. Later the cities of Zurich, Zug and Bern joined the alliance. With the help of these additions, the rule of Austria over the area came to an end. The issue was settled by Lucerne's victory over the Habsburgs in the Battle of Sempach in 1386. For Lucerne this victory ignited an era of expansion. The city shortly granted many rights to itself, rights which had been withheld by the Habsburgs until then. By this time the borders of Lucerne were approximately those of today. From city to city-state, 1386 to 1520. In 1415 Lucerne gained Reichsfreiheit from Emperor Sigismund and became a strong member of the Swiss Confederacy. The city developed its infrastructure, raised taxes, and appointed its own local officials. The city's population of 3,000 dropped about 40% due to the Black Plague and several wars around 1350. In 1419 town records show the first witch trial against a male person. Swiss Catholic town, 1520 to 1798. Among the growing towns of the Confederacy, Lucerne was especially popular in attracting new residents. Remaining predominantly Catholic, Lucerne hosted its own annual Passion Play from 1453 to 1616, a 2-day-long play of 12 hours performance per day. As the Confederacy broke up during the Reformation, after 1520, most nearby cities became Protestant, but Lucerne remained Catholic. After the victory of the Catholics over the Protestants in the battle at Kappel in 1531, the Catholic towns dominated the Confederacy. It was during this period that Jesuits first came to Lucerne in 1567, with their arrival given considerable backing by Cardinal Carlo Borromeo, Archbishop of Milan. The region, though, was destined to be dominated by Protestant cities such as Zurich, Bern and Basel, which defeated the Catholic forces in the 1712 Toggenburg War. The former prominent position of Lucerne in the Confederacy was lost forever. In the 16th and 17th centuries, wars and epidemics became steadily less frequent and as a result the population of the country increased strongly. Lucerne was besieged by a peasant army and quickly signed a peace treaty with the rebels in the Swiss Peasant War of 1653. Century of Revolutions, 1798 to 1914. In 1798, 9 years after the beginning of the French Revolution, the French army marched into Switzerland. The old Confederacy collapsed and the government became democratic. The Industrial Revolution hit Lucerne rather late, and by 1860 only 1.7% of the population worked in industry, which was about a quarter of the national average at that time. Agriculture, which employed about 40% of the workers, was the main form of economic output in the canton. Nevertheless, industry was attracted to the city from areas around Lucerne. From 1850 to 1913, the population quadrupled and the flow of settlers increased. In 1856 trains first linked the city to Olten and Basel, then Zug and Zurich in 1864 and finally to the south in 1897. The 1804 play William Tell by Friedrich Schiller did much to establish the reputation of Lucerne and its environs. Schiller himself had not been to Lucerne, but was inspired to write the play by his wife Lotte and his friend Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, who had both personally visited the city and its surrounding canton. Goethe had lodged in the Hirschenplatz on his route to Italy in 1779. It was during the latter part of the 19th century that Lucerne became a popular destination for artists, royalty and others to escape to. The German composer Richard Wagner established a residence at Treibchen in 1866 from which he lived and worked. The city was then boosted by a visit by Queen Victoria to the city in 1868, during which she went sightseeing at the Kapellbrücke and Lion Monument and relished speaking with local people in her native German. The American writer Mark Twain further popularized the city and its environs in his travel writings after visiting twice, in 1878 and 1897. In 1892, Swiss poet and future Nobel Prize laureate Karl Spitteler also established himself in Lucerne, living there until his death in 1924. Lucerne's status as a fashionable destination led to it becoming one of the first centers of modern-style tourism. Some of the city's most recognizable buildings are hotels from this period, such as the Schweizerhof Hotel, Grand Hotel National, and Chateau Gutsch. It was at the National that Swiss hotelier César Ritz would establish himself as manager between 1878 and 1888. 20th and 21st century. In August 1993, the Kapellbrücke in the center of the city suffered from a great fire which destroyed 2/3 of its interior paintings. The bridge was subsequently reconstructed and reopened to the public in April 1994, after a total of 3.4 million Swiss francs was spent on its repair. On June 17, 2007, voters of the city of Lucerne and the adjacent town of Lido agreed to a merger in a simultaneous referendum. This took effect on January 1, 2010. The new city, still called Lucerne, has a population of around 80,000 people, making it the 7th largest city in Switzerland. The results of this referendum are expected to pave the way for negotiations with other nearby cities and towns in an effort to create a unified city region, based on the results of a study. Geography and climate. Topography. Lucerne is located at the outfall of Lake Lucerne into the River Reuss, which flows from southeast to northwest. The city occupies both banks of the river and the lowest reach of the lake, with the city center straddling the river immediately downstream of the outfall. The city's suburbs climb the hills to the northeast and southwest, and stretch out along the river and lake banks, whilst the recently added area of Lido is to the northwest. Besides this contiguous city area, the municipality also includes an exclave on the south shore of Lake Lucerne some 8 kilometers away, comprising the northern slopes of the Bergenstock. This section of the municipality is entirely surrounded by the lake and by land of the canton of Nidwalden. It does not contain any significant settlements, but the summit of the Bergenstock is the highest point of the municipality. The municipality has an area of 29.1 square kilometers. Of this area, and as of 2009, 28.0% is used for agricultural purposes, while 22.3% is forested. Of the rest of the land, 47.6% is settled and the remainder is non-productive. Climate. Between 1961 and 1990, Lucerne had an average of 138.1 days of rain per year and on average received 1,171 millimeters of precipitation. The wettest month was June, during which time Lucerne received an average of 153 millimeters of rainfall. During this month there was rainfall for an average of 14.2 days. The driest month of the year was February with an average of 61 millimeters of precipitation over 10.2 days. Climate in this area has mild differences between highs and lows, and there is adequate rainfall year-round. The Köppen climate classification subtype for this climate is CFB. Politics. Government. The City Council constitutes the executive government of the City of Lucerne and operates as a collegiate authority. It is composed of 5 councillors, each presiding over a directorate comprising several departments and bureaus. The president of the executive department acts as mayor. In the mandate period September 2020 to August 2024, the City Council is presided by Stadtpräsident Beat Zusli. Departmental tasks, coordination measures and implementation of laws decreed by the Grand City Council are carried by the City Council. The regular election of the City Council by any inhabitant valid to vote is held every 4 years. Any resident of Lucerne allowed to vote can be elected as a member of the City Council. The delegates are selected by means of a system of majors. The mayor is elected as such as well by public election, while the heads of the other directorates are assigned by the collegiate. As of September 2020, Lucerne's City Council is made up of 1 representative of the SP, and 1 each of CVP, GPS, FDP, and GLP. The last regular election was held on the 29th of March, the 28th of June 2020. All members have been re-elected, though 2 of them only with the second round. Michel Bucher is town chronicler since 2020. Parliament. The Grand City Council holds legislative power. It is made up of 48 members, with elections held every 4 years. The Grand City Council decrees regulations and bylaws that are executed by the City Council and the administration. The delegates are selected by means of a system of proportional representation. The sessions of the Grand City Council are public. Unlike members of the City Council, members of the Grand City Council are not politicians by profession, and they are paid a fee based on their attendance. Any resident of Lucerne allowed to vote can be elected as a member of the Grand City Council. The Parliament holds its meetings in the Rathaus am Kornmarkt. The last regular election of the Grand City Council was held on the 29th of March 2020 for the mandate period from September 2020 to August 2024. Currently the Grand City Council consists of 13 members of the Social Democratic Party and 1 of its junior section, the JUSO, 9 the Liberals, 7 Christian Democratic People's Party, 7 Swiss People's Party, 6 Green Party and 1 of its junior section, the JG of Lucerne, and 4 Green Liberal Party. National elections. National Council. In the 2019 federal election for the Swiss National Council, the most popular party was the PS, which received 25.0% of the vote. The next 5 most popular parties were the Green Party, the SVP, the CVP, FDP, the GLP. In the federal election a total of 25,836 votes were cast, and the voter turnout was 49.5%. In the 2015 election for the Swiss National Council, the most popular party was the SP, which received 25.8% of the vote. The next 5 most popular parties were the SVP, the FDP, the CVP, the GPS, and the GLP. In the federal election, a total of 26,521 voters were cast, and the voter turnout was 49.48%. International relations. Twin towns. Lucerne is twinned with the following towns: Bournemouth, United Kingdom; Chicago, Illinois, United States; Szczecin, Poland; Gebüwiller, Murbach, France; Olomouc, Czech Republic; Potsdam, Germany. Demography. Population. Lucerne has a population of 82,620. As of 2013, 19,264 or 25.0% of the population was made up of foreign nationals, of which 19.9% are from Europe, 2.8% from Asia, 1.2% from Africa and 1.0% from America. Over the last 10 years the population has grown at a rate of 1.2%. Most of the population speak German, with Italian, as well as Serbo-Croatian and English, with 5% being second most common languages, followed by French and Albanian with 3%, and Portuguese and Spanish with 2% each. The age distribution in Lucerne is 12,916 people or 15.7% of the population is 0 to 19 years old. 26,381 people or 33.8% are 20 to 39 years old, and 25,863 people or 32.1% are 40 to 64 years old. The senior population distribution is 10,530 people or 13.1% are 65 to 79 years old, 4,208 or 5.2% are 80 to 89 years old, and 900 people or 1.1% of the population are 90 plus years old. In Lucerne, about 73.6% of the population have completed either non-mandatory upper secondary education or additional higher education. As of 2000, there are 30,586 households, of which 15,452 households contain only a single individual. 853, or about 2.8%, are large households, with at least 5 members. As of 2000, there were 5,707 inhabited buildings in the municipality, of which 4,050 were built only as housing, and 1,657 were mixed-use buildings. There were 1,152 single-family homes, 348 double-family homes, and 2,550 multi-family homes in the municipality. Most homes were either 2- or 3-story structures. There were only 74 single-story buildings and 1,721 4- or more story buildings. Historic population. The historical population of Lucerne is given in the following table. Religion. The city grew up around St. Leodegar Abbey, founded in AD 840, and remained strongly Roman Catholic into the 21st century. By 1850, 96.9% of the population was Catholic. In 1900 it was 81.9%, and in 1950 it was still 72.3%. In the 2000 census, the religious membership of Lucerne was 35,682 Roman Catholic, 9,227 Protestant, with an additional 1,979 who were of some other Christian denominations, 1,824 individuals Muslim, 196 individuals Jewish. Of the remainder, 1,073 individuals were another religion, 6,310 stated they do not belong to any organized religion, and 3,205 did not answer the question. Economy. As of 2012, there were a total of 77,641 people employed in the municipality. Of these, a total of 166 people worked in 53 businesses in the primary economic sector. The secondary sector employed 7,326 workers in 666 separate businesses. Finally, the tertiary sector provided 70,149 jobs in 6,929 businesses. In 2013, a total of 11.0% of the population received social assistance. As of 2000, 51.7% of the population of the municipality were employed in some capacity. At the same time, women made up 47.9% of the workforce. Lucerne is home to a number of major Swiss companies, including Schindler Group, Krone Swiss, ME, EF Education First, and the Luzerner Kantonalbank. Suva, one of Switzerland's oldest accident insurance companies, is also based in Lucerne, as is the University of Lucerne, the youngest of Switzerland's traditional universities. Thanks to its continuous tax-cutting policies, Lucerne has become Switzerland's most business-friendly canton. As of 2012, Lucerne offers Switzerland's lowest corporate tax rate at cantonal level. Furthermore, Lucerne also offers very moderate personal income tax rates. In a recent published study of BAC Basel Economics Taxation Index 2012, Lucerne made it to the 4th place with an only marginally 2% higher tax rate compared to the top canton in this comparison. Sites. Since the city straddles the Reuss where it drains the lake, it has a number of bridges. The most famous is the Chapel Bridge, a 204 meters long wooden covered bridge originally built in 1333, the oldest covered bridge in Europe, although much of it had to be replaced after a fire on the 18th of August 1993, allegedly caused by a discarded cigarette. Partway across, the bridge runs by the octagonal water tower, a fortification from the 13th century. Inside the bridge are a series of paintings from the 17th century depicting events from Lucerne's history. The bridge with its tower is the city's most famous landmark. Downriver, between the Kasernenplatz and the Mullenplatz, the Spreuer Bridge zigzags across the Reuss. Constructed in 1408, it features a series of medieval-style 17th-century plague paintings by Caspar Meglinger titled Dance of Death. The bridge has a small chapel in the middle that was added in 1568. Old Town Lucerne is mainly located just north of the Reuss, and still has several fine half-timber structures with painted fronts. Remnants of the old town walls exist on the hill above Lucerne, complete with 8 tall watchtowers. An additional gated tower sits at the base of the hill on the banks of the Reuss. The twin needle towers of the Church of St. Leodegar, which was named after the city's patron saint, sit on a small hill just above the lake front. Originally built in 735, The present structure was erected in 1633 in the late Renaissance style. However, the towers are surviving remnants of an earlier structure. The interior is richly decorated. The church is popularly called the Hofkirche and is known locally as the Hofkapelle. Bertel Thorvaldsen's famous carving of a dying lion is found in a small park just off the Lohenplatz. The carving commemorates the hundreds of Swiss guards who were massacred in 1792 during the French Revolution, when an armed mob stormed the Tuileries Palace in Paris. The Swiss Museum of Transport is a large and comprehensive museum exhibiting all forms of transport, including locomotives, automobiles, ships, and aircraft. It is to be found beside the lake in the northern eastern section of the city. The Culture and Convention Center beside the lake in the center of the city was designed by Jean Nouvel. The center has one of the world's leading concert halls, with acoustics by Russell Johnson. The Richard Wagner Museum is found on the lake at Treibchen and is dedicated to the composer Richard Wagner. Wagner lived in Lucerne from 1866 to 1872 and his former villa now hosts the museum dedicated to him. Culture and events. Culture. Since plans for the new Culture and Convention Center arose in the late 1980s, Lucerne has found a balance between the so-called established culture and alternative culture. A consensus was reached that culminated in a culture compromise. The established culture comprises the Lucerne Culture and Congress Center, the City Theatre and, in a broader sense, smaller establishments such as the Klein Theater, founded by comedian Emil Steinberger, a Lucerne native, or Stadtkeller, a music restaurant in the city's old town. KKL houses a concert hall as well as the Museum of Art Lucerne. Alternative culture took place mostly on the premises of a former tube factory, which became known as BOA. Other localities for alternative culture have since emerged in the same inner-city area as BOA. Initially, BOA staged various plays, but concerts became more and more common. This new use of the building clashed with the development of apartment buildings on nearby lots of land. Due to possible noise pollution, BOA was closed and a replacement in a less heavily inhabited area is currently under construction. Critics claim though that the new establishment would not meet the requirements for an alternative culture. Sudpal is a center for performing arts in Lucerne presenting music, dance and theater events. The house at the foot of Pilatus opened in November 2008. Lucerne is home to the Luzerner Symphonieorchester, a category of symphonic orchestra, and to the 21st Century Symphony Orchestra, and they both hold most of their performances in the Lucerne Culture and Congress Center. Lucerne is also home to Keramikkonzerte, a series of classical chamber music concerts held throughout each year, as well as Zaubersee, a festival dedicated to Russian classical music. Events. Every year, towards the end of winter, Fastnacht breaks out in the streets, alleyways and squares of the old town. This is a glittering outdoor party, where chaos and merriness reign and nothing is as it normally is. Strange characters in fantastic masks and costumes make their way through the alleyways, while Guggenmusiken blow their instruments in joyful cacophony and thousands of bizarrely clad people sing and dance away the winter. The Lucerner Fastnacht, based on religious, Catholic backgrounds, starts every year on the Thursday before Aschermittwoch with a big bang at 5 a.m. called Morgenwacht. There are big parades in the afternoon on Schmutzige Donnerstag and the following Monday, called Gudesmontag, which attract tens of thousands of people. Lucerne's carnival ends with a crowning finish on Gottesdienstag evening with the Monstercorso, a tremendous parade of Guggenmusiken, lights and lanterns with even a larger audience. Rather recently a fourth Fastnacht day has been introduced on the Saturday between the others Fastnacht days, the Rutage Samstag, while mainly several indoor balls take place. From dusk till dawn on the evenings of Schmutzige Donnerstag, Gudesmontag, and after the Monstercorso many bands wander through the historical part of the city playing typical Fastnacht tunes. Until midnight, the historical part of the city usually is packed with people participating. A large part of the audience are also dressed up in costumes, even a majority in the evenings. The city hosts various renowned festivals throughout the year. The Lucerne Festival for Classical Music takes place in the summer. Its orchestra, the Lucerne Festival Orchestra, is hand-picked from some of the finest instrumentalists in the world. In June yearly the Pop Music Festival B-Sides takes place in Lucerne. It focuses on international acts in alternative music, indie rock, experimental rock and other cutting-edge and left-field artistic musical genres. In July, the Blue Balls Festival brings jazz, blues and punk music to the Lake Promenade and halls of the Culture and Convention Center. The Lucerne Blues Festival is another musical festival which usually takes place in November. Since spring 2004, Lucerne has hosted the festival Rose d'Or for television entertainment. And in April, the well-established comics festival Fumetto attracts an international audience. Being the cultural center of a rather rural region, Lucerne regularly holds different folklore festivals, such as Lucerne Cheese Festival, held annually. In 2004, Lucerne was the focus of Swiss wrestling fans when it had hosted the Swiss Wrestling and Alpine Festival, which takes place every 3 years in a different location. A national music festival attracted marching bands from all parts of Switzerland in 2006. In summer 2008, the Yodeling Festival had a similar impact. The 2021 Winter Universiade will be hosted by Lucerne Transport. Lucerne boasts a developed and well-run transport network, with the main operator, Verkehrsbetrieb Lucerne, running both the trolleybuses in Lucerne and a motorbuses network in the city and to neighboring municipalities. Other operators, such as Post Auto Schweiz and Auto AG Rothenburg, provide bus services to other towns and villages. Lucerne Railway Station is one of Switzerland's principal stations, and is well connected to the rest of Switzerland via railway services operated by Swiss Federal Railways, the Südostbahn Saab, the BLS and the Zentralbahn. There are 40 trains per day between Lucerne and Zurich, with an average travel time of 48 minutes. Zurich Airport can be reached in just over an hour. Adjacent to the station is Lucerne Bahnhofquai, from which ships of the Lake Lucerne Navigation Company operate to various destinations on Lake Lucerne. 3 other railway stations are located within the city boundaries, with Lucerne Allmende Messe railway station close to the Swisspor Arena in the south of the city, Lido Bahnhof in the former municipality of Lido, and the Lucerne Verkehrshaus railway station adjacent to the Swiss Museum of Transport in the east. Lucerne's city transit system is fully integrated into the coherent and integrated fare network system called Passepartout, encompassing all kind of public transport in the cantons of Lucerne, Obwalden, and Nidwalden. Sport. There are several football clubs throughout the city. The most successful one is FC Lucerne, which plays in Switzerland's Premier League. The club plays its home matches at the new Swisspor Arena, with a capacity of 16,800. The city's main hockey team is the HC Lucerne, which plays in the Swiss Second League, the 4th tier of Swiss hockey. They play their home games in the 5,000-seat Swiss Life Arena. In the past, Lucerne also produced national successes in men's handball and women's volleyball and softball. Having a long tradition of equestrian sports, Lucerne has co-hosted CSIO Switzerland, an international equestrian show jumping event, until it left entirely for St. Gallen in 2006. Since then, the Lucerne Equestrian Masters replaced it. There is also an annual horse racing event, usually taking place in August. Lucerne annually hosts the final leg of the Rowing World Cup on Rothsee Lake. Numerous World Rowing Championships have been held in Lucerne, including the inaugural World Championships of 1962 and then the regattas of 1974, 1982 and 2001. Lucerne hosts the annual Spitzenleichtathletik Lucerne track and field meeting, which attracts world-class athletes such as Johann Blake and Valerie Adams. The city also provides facilities for ice hockey, figure skating, golf, swimming, basketball, rugby, skateboarding, climbing and more. Lucerne hosted FIVB Beach Volleyball World Tour event Lucerne Open 2015 and FIVB Beach Volleyball U21 World Championship in 2016.
عم فرق